Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video giving my thoughts, going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of Better Call Saul, the television series. This one was Season 2, Episode 3, called Amarillo. Alright, so spoiler warning if you guys have not seen this episode yet. If you've seen my previous reviews, you know that the premiere for Season 2, Switch, I wasn't too impressed with. I felt like as a premiere, usually premieres are supposed to be pretty good, but Better Call Saul, you know, it's the start of a new story in that, so Switch was okay for me. It wasn't amazing. Cobbler, hilarious, Episode 2. Absolutely hysterical. Loved it so much. Such a great episode. And then, of course, this one, Amarillo. So, spoiler warning for Amarillo. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you're probably going to watch it before you watch this review. So I love this episode. Where episode 2, Cobbler, was about the comedy, this one for me is about the drama. This one is a great character piece for the series, from taking Saul from where he's at right now and kind of starting to show the transformation and development for how he gets to where he's at when we meet him in Breaking Bad. How he goes from kind of right now where he's with Kim, you know, has like the pinnacle of jobs for him, kind of the corporate, the highest kind of corporate job that he would envision himself to have and be in. And how is he going to transition from that to going into it as Saul on his own? And what is going to happen between now and then to kind of transform him into that further, character where he's trying to play the corporate game, he's trying to be the regular, good attorney employee, and already he's getting himself, even though he just kind of started, into some serious trouble, and getting Kim into trouble too as well, because she referred him originally. So two parts to this episode. We got the Mike stuff, we got the Saul stuff, the Jimmy stuff. I just love what they're doing with this to show that. I mean, he's working at kind of the regular thing, but he can't play the game and win the game according to the rules. Chuck starts to call him out on some stuff because he's trying to undermine what he's doing, and he wants to kind of disprove this idea that Jimmy is as good as him. He wants to kind of, keep his, sibling rivalry, superiority to Jimmy, and dominance born of neuroticism to, show that he's better, even though he's maybe got this mental illness or whatever. He's still the superior brother. He's still, superior, and he's going to undermine Jimmy no matter what Jimmy tries to do. And, calls him to it and causes him in a chain reaction to kind of try another strategy, which they don't really like either, because of course Cliff and the rest of the partners and everybody who, Jimmy is a much different type of character than them. Jimmy is somebody who he is willing to make mistakes. He's made lots of mistakes throughout his life, and yet he's still doing very well for himself as an attorney. And you have people like Cliff and some of the partners who we hear about next week's episode, who are people who probably most of the way through their careers they've been taught to do the right thing. Not much creativity. Things have to be this way. They have to be in a box. You have to do things this way, exactly this way. Don't make mistakes. Don't screw up. And that's what's going to bring you your success. Jimmy, on the other hand, he is more of a free spirit, so to speak. He is more willing to try things and experiment and make mistakes and do stuff without really, thinking about all the different things that could happen, because he knows that they need to get customers. He's been working on his own trying to get customers, and he wasn't able to do it. Now he targets an audience. I thought this was so brilliant, and I loved it. He goes for it, but he does it without requesting permission from his boss first, from his superior first. So as such, of course, Cliff is furious and really, really just upset with him. Calls him an anarchist at the end of the episode. And I just love what they're doing with this, where it's like, can Jimmy play the game? Probably not. He probably can't play the game. That's how he's going to go from here to here. But will he need to play the game? Based on what he did in this episode, no, he won't. Because the hardest thing, especially when Jimmy's going to, become Saul and do his own thing and become his own lawyer by himself, is he's going to have to find out, I think, like a lot of entrepreneurs find out. Like I've seen some videos that Mark Cuban has mentioned in interviews many times, that he had to become an entrepreneur and do his own thing because he couldn't work for other people, because he kept doing stuff without permission. He kept doing things that were good, probably good objectively for the business and for the team, but he did it without asking for permission. He took the initiative without asking for permission and kind of that control and that free-spiritedness, and he just did something without asking first. So probably because he hates asking, which is why he became who he is. So rather than just working at a regular job. So Saul's going to have to go through that same kind of transformation where he figures out that he's going to have to do things on his own. He's going to have to be different enough so that he maladjusts from kind of the regular kind of corporate employee maladjustment into his own thing, because everybody has to go through that process if they want to non-conform and do their own thing. They have to figure out that it's not as important to them to just be one of regular kind of conforming employees and do what they're doing. They have to non-conform. They have to go the other way on the slant and go into their own thing and figure, they can figure it out on their own. They'll do it on their own will to make mistakes and do that. So I love to see how much effort they've put into the writing of the show to really show us how Jimmy's going through this thing, and a simple corporate mistake, which working for other people and not asking them for permission pretty much no matter what you do, and us kind of just getting to know Cliff and kind of getting to know how he does things has gotten Jimmy in trouble right off the bat. They're even talking about firing him in the sneak peek for next week's. So I loved it, man. But the thing is he's just figured out with the commercial how to get customers of his own. So he's, at a certain point, if he can do that, see, that's the hardest part if you're going to be starting your own thing, is how do you get people to call? How do you get people interested in whatever you're doing? If it's a service, a product, or something you're selling, how do you get people there? So I loved in this episode how he was able to do it, target an audience perfectly, go for it, and get the results that he wanted. And it, of course, infuriates Cliff because he did it without asking first. And Cliff wants to control all that because it's a battle of control, really, is what it is. Saul thinks he's in charge. Jimmy thinks he's in charge, wants to do his own thing with regards to that. And Cliff told him he could. Cliff told him that he was in charge of that. But now he's getting called out for it because when you're in charge of something inside of a structure, the people who are above can call you out for whatever decisions you make. It's just the nature of the system. It's the nature of the business, right? If you're not doing your own thing, you do whatever the hell you want. You ultimately have to pay the consequences, but his name, Cliff Davis of Maine, is right there. That's, he calls arsonist. So Jimmy getting himself in trouble already. So I love it, and I love to see the start of this transformative process where he goes from Jimmy to Saul. It's just amazing stuff. I've just been loving it, and Chuck kind of starting this whole process. It seems that Chuck is kind of his Achilles heel, so to speak, to bring him down from everything he's working for. Chuck will knock him down. So in addition to that and all the great stuff we had with that, I loved it, him and Kim and what's going to happen with them, so much drama, so great. We also had Mike, so some great stuff with Mike. We got to see kind of his relationship with his granddaughter. We know that was important to him in Breaking Bad, and his daughter-in-law, because that was his son who was killed, wife, so that's his daughter-in-law. Just kind of their relationship and him figuring out he goes on a stakeout all night, then he goes to work and everything. It's just like, wow, he's willing to do just about anything for them. And, no matter what, all night or whatever, he finds out it's newspapers. So they're dropping newspapers, and she's developed, I guess, with losing her husband and everything, some kind of maybe post-traumatic stress or paranoia because this has happened now, and now she's they do such a great job of working in the psychology here. So she's like paranoid. At first I'm thinking, oh, Mike's going to take care of this, and then they kind of twist it to where it's like there's nothing to take care of. It's the problem is her, which is the hardest type of problem to deal with, is telling somebody the problem is you. That's a difficult thing to do. So instead he decides, you know what, let's do it. She doesn't feel safe here, she doesn't feel comfortable here. It's fine. So, he's gonna take another job. He meets Nacho, and Nacho says, I need him to go away. And that's pretty much it at the end of the episode. So Mike's going to get into more, and eventually I'm just looking for it, maybe a finale or something. I hope they can bring in Gus Fring and Mike can meet Gus at some point during Better Call Saul. That would just be incredible, man. So I'm going to give this episode a solid 8.6 out of 10. This was a great drama episode. This was an awesome episode if you like Saul and you kind of want to get an idea of how he becomes Saul. It's kind of becoming Saul from Jimmy, the two different people, and Chuck's role in getting that started, and then Jimmy and just his kind of creativeness and his kind of out of the box way of doing things, which may get him in trouble sometimes, but for the most part he ends up being okay. Could cause him to kind of self-destruct his corporate career, and how he's going to have to do something. It was brilliant. Every which way, the writing and everything, absolutely brilliant. So I love this episode. I hope you guys did too. If you liked my review, you can thumb it up below. If you want to support the channel, you can also share, favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe, you can subscribe at the bottom left. Awesome episode. Great third. Can't wait to see the rest of the season, and I'll continue to review it if it continues to be this good. Hope you guys like this review. Do all that below, please, and I'll see you again real soon. As always, this is Trev. I'm saying peace. See you guys.